To me, this question is just a classic case of process of elimination. It's very simple. The answers that are wrong are obviously wrong. The answer that's right isn't really right, but it's just kind of the least bad choice. So here's what you do. This is how process of elimination on the SAT is supposed to look like. It's not just about crossing out answers, it's about crossing out words. So let me just kind of make sure we understand what that process is supposed to be. First, start by looking at the question, obviously. In the second paragraph, the discussion of short-term memory primarily functions too. So, okay, do they talk about short-term memory? What are they kind of saying? Keep it simple. We don't need to understand all the details. We just need to know how it functions and what they're saying. So let's go to the lines. And they start with, we can look at this system as analogous to short-term memory. Oh, okay. It's an analogy. Or a comparison. You're making a comparison. First, the fly trap encodes the information, forms the memory that something, it doesn't know what, has touched one of its hairs. Then it stores this information for a number of seconds, retains the memory, and finally retrieves this information, recalls the memory once a second hair is touched. So, all right, it's a process. I don't really care about the details. It's a process of some kind. If a small ant takes a while to get from one hair to the next, the trap will have forgotten the first touch by the time the ant brushes up against the next hair. In other words, it loses the storage of the information, doesn't close, and the ant happily meanders on. So this is some sort of an example. How does the plant encode and store the information from the unassuming bug's encounter with the first hair? How does it remember the first touch in order to react upon the second? So then some questions. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4 words is all I needed to summarize what's going on. And the first 2 words are actually just me trying to define an analogy for you in case you were a little confused. So 3 words is all we need to summarize 15, 16 lines. That's how it should be. You don't need to get complicated here. So now we go to the choices and the real work of process of elimination begins. We are looking for reasons that choices are wrong. We might have a choice that just feels super right. But even if we do, we need to look and make sure that all of it is right, because if one word is wrong, the whole choice is wrong. So let's look at choice A. The purpose of this discussion is to clarify an explanation of what prompts the Venus flytrap to close. Well, they're definitely talking about it closing, and I guess they were explaining something. There was a process, right? And there's nothing about an analogy, but clarify, I mean, you can clarify with an analogy. I don't really know. So right now, this doesn't seem obviously right, but it also doesn't really have anything that offends me and makes me think it's wrong. So let's just try the other choices. B, advance a controversial hypothesis about the function of electric charges found in the leaf of the Venus flytrap. Geez, this is a lot of words that we did not really focus on here. Nothing about my summary says it's controversial. Nothing talked about electric charges. Even the leaf part is kind of random. So this just doesn't match. Maybe there's something about electric charges and leaves. I don't really know, but it's not here. It's not in these lines. C, stress the distinction between the strategies of the Venus flytrap and the strategies of human beings. Well, it doesn't really talk about human beings. I mean, it talks about maybe the way that we form short-term memories is similar to how the plant forms them, so maybe that's a little bit of it, but distinction is another word for difference. But remember, what was the purpose of short-term memory? It was to make a comparison, to say how these two situations are similar. So again, that doesn't really match up even with my very, very basic understanding of what was happening. D, emphasize the Venus flytrap's capacity for retaining detailed information about its prey. Well, here's a strong word, right? It doesn't say that they have detailed information, right? If anything, it says it doesn't know what it has a memory of. It doesn't know what it triggered the hairs. So it's saying the exact opposite here. So A is right. Why is it right? Because we use process of elimination, and the other 3 choices were clearly wrong. That's how you're supposed to do the SAT. Occasionally, the right answer will be obviously right as well, but that is not a guarantee, And so it is much, much better to try to find wrong answers and get rid of them for specific reasons, not just feelings, specific reasons. And then we find ourselves with a right answer that kind of just gets the job done. Choice A, it's kind of vague, it's kind of weak. Clarify an explanation of what prompts the Venus flytrap to close. Notice that it doesn't talk about exactly what prompts it to close. It doesn't get into the specifics. And because it doesn't get specific, because it doesn't say too much, it ends up being right because there's nothing for us to think is wrong. That's fine. That's how we do the test. Get used to that feeling. The right answers won't feel super right. That's part of the SAT. That's part of how you get good. Is you don't worry about that. That's just normal. Here, it gets us the answer. That's all we care about.